My name is Vanessa Harper, and I've never been my father's favorite child. That honor has always belonged to my younger brother, Ethan, the golden boy, the successful one, the one who could do no wrong. I'm the disappointing daughter. The one who chose art school over business school. The one who's still single at 33. The one who works as a freelance graphic designer instead of having a real career. But I loved my family anyway. Showed up for every dinner, every holiday, every milestone. Which is why I was at Marcello's, the upscale Italian restaurant in downtown Boston, for Ethan's rehearsal dinner. The private dining room was beautiful, exposed brick walls, string lights, tables set with white linens and flickering candles. 30 guests milled around with wine glasses, celebrating Ethan's marriage to Claire, his college sweetheart. I'd arrived early to help set up, wearing my favorite emerald dress, hoping Dad might finally say something nice about me. Hoping tonight I might finally feel like I belonged. Instead, it all fell apart in the worst possible way. It started during cocktail hour. Dad was holding court near the bar, telling stories about Ethan's childhood accomplishments to anyone who would listen. State champion in debate, Dad said proudly. Full scholarship to Harvard. Started his own consulting firm at 28. That's my son. That's the kind of success we raised. We. Like Mom had been part of it. Mom died 3 years ago. She'd been the buffer between Dad's criticism and my self-worth. I was standing nearby with a glass of wine, trying to be invisible, when Claire's mother approached Dad. "Richard, you must be so proud of both your children," she said warmly. "Claire tells me Vanessa is very talented." "An artist?" Dad's expression soured. "Vanessa does graphic design. Freelance. It's not exactly a stable career. But she's creative. That's wonderful. It's wonderful if you're 22 and figuring things out. At 33, it's concerning." He said it loud enough for nearby guests to hear. "She has no direction. No real job. No husband. No children. Just this fantasy that she's going to make it as an artist someday." My face burned. I wanted to disappear. "Dad," I said quietly. "Can we not do this here?" "Do what?" "Tell the truth." "You're 33 years old, Vanessa. When are you going to grow up and get a real job?" "I have a job. I support myself. Barely. You live in a tiny apartment, you drive a 10-year-old car, you have no savings. That's not success. That's failure." The room was getting quieter. People were starting to notice. "Richard," Claire's mother said uncomfortably. "I'm sure Vanessa is doing her best. Her best isn't good enough." Dad turned to face me fully, his face flushed with wine and anger. "Do you know how embarrassing it is when people ask me what my daughter does? I have to say, oh, she does freelance graphic design. Like you're some gig worker with no ambition." "I have ambition." "No, you have excuses. You chose art school because you were too lazy to do real academic work. You chose freelancing because you're afraid of commitment. You're a disappointment, Vanessa. An embarrassment." The words hit like physical blows. The room was silent now. Everyone watching. "Dad, please," my voice cracked. "Please what?" "Stop telling the truth. Look at your brother. Look at what he's accomplished. Then look at yourself. The contrast is humiliating." Ethan, across the room, said nothing. Just looked away uncomfortably. "I'm doing my best." "Your best is pathetic." Dad's voice rose. "You're a 33-year-old child playing at being an adult. You're selfish, directionless, and you've wasted every opportunity we ever gave you. That's not fair." "Fair?" He stepped closer, his face inches from mine. "You want to talk about fair? We paid for your college. We supported you through your 20s while you found yourself. We've been patient. And this is what we get? A daughter who contributes nothing? I contribute. He slapped me. The sound cracked through the room like a gunshot. My head snapped to the side, my cheek exploding in pain. I stumbled backward, catching myself on a chair. The room was utterly silent. I touched my face, feeling the heat, the sting. My eyes flooded with tears, but I refused to let them fall. Dad stood there, breathing hard, his hands still raised. "Don't you dare talk back to me." I looked around the room. At 30 pairs of eyes staring. At Ethan, frozen with his mouth open. At Claire, horrified. At Mom's sister, my Aunt Patricia, with her hand over her mouth. No one moved. No one said anything. They were going to let this happen. They were going to watch my father assault me and do nothing. I opened my mouth to speak, but no words came. Then a voice cut through the silence. "Richard, is there a problem?" Everyone turned. Antonio Castellano, Mr. Castellano, the restaurant owner, walked across the room with a purposeful stride. He was in his 60s, silver-haired, wearing an impeccable suit, his expression darker than I'd ever seen it. "Tony," Dad said, straightening, trying to regain composure. "Just family business. Nothing to worry about. Family business." Mr. Castellano looked at me, at my reddening cheek, at my trembling hands. "You just assaulted someone in my restaurant. She's my daughter. I don't care if she's the Queen of England. You don't hit people in my establishment." His voice was cold. "Especially not her." Dad frowned. "What?" Mr. Castellano pulled out a tablet from behind the bar, tapped it several times, then turned it toward the room. "Does everyone here know who's been paying for your family dinners at this restaurant?" Dad's face went from red to pale. "Tony, don't. Every Sunday for 2 years. Every birthday party. Every celebration. This family has eaten here 53 times." He scrolled through the records. Total bill, $47,000. Paid for entirely by Vanessa Harper's credit card. The room erupted in whispers. I stood frozen. I'd told Mr. Castellano to keep that private. To never tell my family. "Vanessa," Mr. Castellano continued, looking at me with something like fatherly concern, "has been covering your family's restaurant bills for 2 years. Every meal. Every bottle of wine. Every dessert. She specifically asked me not to tell anyone because she didn't want to embarrass you." Dad's mouth opened and closed like a fish. "And this," Mr. Castellano gestured at me, at my red cheek, "is how you repay her? By calling her a failure? By assaulting her in public?" "I didn't know she was paying," Dad stammered. "You didn't ask. You just assumed someone else was covering it. Was it magic? Did you think the bills disappeared on their own?" Ethan spoke up from across the room. "Vanessa, is this true?" I couldn't speak. Just nodded. "Why?" Ethan asked. "Because Dad complained constantly about money. About Mom's medical bills, about retirement, about expenses. Every Sunday dinner, he'd stress about the bill. So I started paying it. To make things easier." $47,000, Claire's mother breathed. "That's more than a year's salary for most people." "But she's a freelancer," someone else said. "She barely makes money," Richard said so himself. Mr. Castellano smiled grimly. "Vanessa is one of the most successful designers I know. She did all the branding for my 3 restaurants. She has corporate clients paying her 6 figures. She just doesn't brag about it." Dad looked like he'd been punched. You make 6 figures?" "Yes," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "I have for 3 years. Since Mom got sick. I took on extra work to help with medical bills. And I kept taking it because I wanted to help the family. But you live in a tiny apartment. Because I'm saving for a house. And because I've been spending $2,000 a month feeding you." The room was dead silent except for the soft Italian music playing in the background. Dad reached for me. Vanessa. I stepped back. Don't touch me. I didn't know. You didn't ask. You just assumed I was failing because I don't measure success the way you do. Because I'm not married, don't have kids, chose a creative career. You decided I was worthless without ever asking about my actual life. I'm sorry. You slapped me. My voice broke. In front of 30 people. At my brother's rehearsal dinner. Because I'm an embarrassment to you. Mr. Castellano stepped forward. Richard, I'm going to ask you to leave. This dinner is over. You can't kick me out. This is my son's rehearsal dinner. A dinner in my restaurant. Where you committed assault. Leave now, or I'm calling the police and pressing charges on Vanessa's behalf. Dad looked around the room, seeking support. No one met his eyes. Ethan, he pleaded. Tell him. Ethan looked at me, at my red cheek, at the tears finally spilling down my face. Dad, you should go. What? You hit her. In front of everyone. You need to leave. Dad's face crumpled. But. Now, Ethan said firmly. Go. Dad grabbed his coat and walked out, the door swinging shut behind him with a definitive thud. The room remained silent. Mr. Castellano approached me gently. Vanessa, do you need ice for your face? I nodded, unable to speak. He guided me to a chair, disappeared, and returned with ice wrapped in a cloth napkin. Here. 15 minutes on, 15 off. I pressed it to my cheek, the cold numbing the pain. Claire came over, tears in her eyes. Vanessa, I'm so sorry. I had no idea he was like that. He's not usually violent, I said quietly. Just, cruel. Ethan sat down across from me. Why didn't you tell us you were paying for dinners? Because Dad was already stressed about money. I thought I was helping. $47,000, Vanessa. That's not helping. That's you sacrificing everything. I wanted to be useful. You are useful. You're talented and successful and generous. I'm sorry we never saw it. I looked at my brother. You didn't stand up for me. When he was yelling at me, you just stood there. He looked ashamed. I know. I was shocked. I didn't. You always do this. You watch him tear me down and you say nothing. Because it's easier to let him focus on me than turn on you. That's not. Yes, it is. I stood up, ice pack still pressed to my face. I've spent my whole life trying to earn Dad's approval while you got it automatically. And when he finally showed his true colors, you just watched. Vanessa. I'm happy for you and Claire. I hope you have a beautiful wedding. But I can't be there. I can't watch Dad walk you down the aisle and give a toast about what an amazing son you are while my face is still bruised from where he hit me. You're not coming to the wedding? No. Claire grabbed my hand. Please. Don't let him ruin this. We want you there. Do you? Or do you just want to avoid the awkwardness of explaining why the bride's sister-in-law is missing? She didn't answer. I gathered my purse and coat. Mr. Castellano walked me to the door. Thank you, I told him. For speaking up. Someone had to. He paused. Vanessa, your tab here is paid in full. All $47,000 worth. You don't owe this restaurant anything. But your family? They owe you everything. I spent the next week in my apartment, icing my face and ignoring phone calls. Dad called 17 times. Left voicemails ranging from defensive, I was drunk, I didn't mean it, to manipulative, if you don't come to the wedding, you'll ruin it for Ethan, to angry, you embarrassed me in front of everyone. I blocked his number. Ethan called too. Vanessa, please. Dad says he's sorry. Can't you just forgive him? He hit me, Ethan. He was drunk. That's not an excuse. I know, but it's my wedding. Can't you put this aside for one day? You want me to stand next to the man who assaulted me and smile for pictures? I want my sister at my wedding. Your sister needs you to acknowledge that what Dad did was unforgivable. And you won't. I'm trying to keep the family together. There is no family, Ethan. There's Dad's ego and everyone else tiptoeing around it. He hung up. 3 days before the wedding, Aunt Patricia came to my apartment. I should have said something, she told me over tea. When Richard hit you. I froze. I'm sorry. Everyone froze. That doesn't make it right. She set down her cup. Your mother would be horrified. She knew Richard was hard on you, but she kept him in check. After she died, he just spiraled. Took out all his grief and anger on you. Why didn't anyone stop him? Because we were cowards. It was easier to watch you take the hits than confront him. I appreciated her honesty at least. Are you going to the wedding? She asked. No. Richard won't be happy. I don't care about Richard's happiness anymore. She smiled sadly. Good. You shouldn't have to. The day of the wedding, I turned off my phone and spent the day at a spa. Got a massage, a facial, sat in the sauna. I chose me. Finally. That evening, I got a text from Mr. Castellano. The restaurant misses you. Sunday dinner is lonely without our favorite customer. Hope you're healing. I smiled. Maybe I had found family after all. Just not the one I was born into. 2 weeks after the wedding, there was a knock at my door. Ethan and Claire stood there, looking exhausted. We just got back from our honeymoon, Ethan said. Can we talk? I let them in. Claire sat on my couch, twisting her hands. Vanessa, I owe you an apology. I've been thinking about what you said, about me wanting you at the wedding to avoid awkwardness. You were right. I was more worried about appearances than your well-being. Thank you for saying that. The wedding was beautiful, she continued. But it felt wrong without you. And watching your dad give a toast about family while you weren't there because he'd assaulted you, it made me sick. Ethan spoke up. I told Dad he needs therapy. That if he doesn't get help, I'm not bringing our future kids around him. How'd he take that? Badly. He said I was choosing my sister over my father. I said yes, I am. Because you were right, I've been enabling him by staying silent. I felt tears prick my eyes. You really told him that? I did. And Claire and I talked. We want to make this right. Starting with paying you back. Paying me back? Claire pulled out an envelope. We tallied up every dinner we attended that you paid for. Our share is $8,400. It's not everything, but it's a start. I opened the envelope. A check for $8,400. You don't have to. Yes, we do, Ethan said firmly. You shouldn't have been covering our bills. That was wrong. What about Dad? He refuses to pay you back. Says he didn't ask you to do it, so he doesn't owe you anything. Of course he did. But we're done enabling him, Claire added. We're not doing Sunday dinners anymore. We're not attending events where he might disrespect you. We're setting boundaries. Really? Really? You're my sister now, Claire said. And sisters protect each other. I hugged them both, crying into Claire's shoulder. Over the next 6 months, my relationship with Ethan and Claire grew stronger. We had our own dinners, our own traditions. Sometimes at Marcello's, where Mr. Castellano would comp our desserts and ask about my latest design projects. Dad and I didn't speak. He sent occasional emails, never apologizing, just complaining that I was splitting up the family. I deleted them unread. Then, 8 months after the rehearsal dinner, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Miss Harper? This is Boston Medical Center. Your father, Richard Harper, has been admitted. He had a heart attack. He's stable, but he's asking for you. I sat with that information for a long time. Then I called Ethan. Dad's in the hospital, I told him. Heart attack. I know. I'm here now. Is he okay? He will be. Doctors say he needs lifestyle changes, less stress. Ethan paused. He's asking for you. What should I do? That's up to you, Vanessa. I won't tell you to forgive him. But if you want to see him, now might be the time. I drove to the hospital. Stood outside Dad's room for 10 minutes, working up courage. When I finally walked in, he looked small in the hospital bed. Pale. Old. Nothing like the intimidating man who'd slapped me. Vanessa, he breathed. You came. I'm here. I don't know why, but I'm here. I'm sorry. Are you? Or are you just scared? He looked away. Both, probably. The heart attack, it made me think about things. About how I've treated you. You hit me. I know. In public. At Ethan's rehearsal dinner. You called me an embarrassment and then you hit me. I know, he said again, tears in his eyes. I was angry. At myself, at my life, at losing your mother. And I took it out on you. For years, Dad. Not just that night. My whole life, you've made me feel worthless. I was wrong. Yes. You were. Can you forgive me? I thought about it. Really thought about it. I don't know, I said finally. Maybe someday. But not today. Today, I'm just here because you're in a hospital bed and you're still my father. But that doesn't mean we're okay. What do I have to do? Therapy. Real therapy. Not just after a health scare, but ongoing. And you need to pay me back the $47,000 I spent on family dinners. Not because I need the money, but because you need to acknowledge what I did. That's a lot of money. Then set up a payment plan. But if you want me in your life, you have to put in the work. Real work. Not just apologies when it's convenient. He nodded slowly. Okay. And if you ever raise your hand to me again, we're done. Forever. No second chances. I won't. I swear. We'll see.